What is up guys, GM25 here, and I'm coming at you with my little Xbox One and PS4 comparison. I'll be comparing loads of stuff like, for example, prices and the specs of the thing to see whether which one is actually worth buying really. So I'm going to start off with the Xbox One's newest kind of specs on processor and graphics cards. So the Xbox One has actually been introduced with a new 1.75 GHz processor. Now compared to its predecessor, which was the Xbox 360, it's actually been increased by 150 megahertz. And if you're actually a person who likes specs and knows how to read and what they are, you would basically know 150, that's not a lot. But actually, this is going to shock you even more. So the processor is actually an AMD Jaguar processor, and it's meant to be rated up over performance up to about 2 gigahertz. So you might think it's underclocked. Well, actually you're right, it is underclocked, but Microsoft is most likely trying to find the sweet spot in performance here. And when I mean sweet spot in performance, I basically mean sweet spot in performance with regards to heat and noise output. If you have an Xbox 360, you would understand and know what I'm talking about here. Now for the graphical side of things. Now I'm not going to talk too much about the graphics card here in the Xbox One, but the Xbox One's graphics card has actually been increased by about 53 megahertz. Now if you know what I'm talking about with technology and graphics cards and stuff, you would know that's a lot. Well, at least that's a lot for a graphics card to be increased by. Anyway, now I'm going to start comparing the PS4 to the Xbox One. So if you are thinking of buying an Xbox One or PS4, listen up. So now I'm going to start comparing their specs. Anyway, I'm going to start off with the graphics card specs. Remember when I said that it's good that the Xbox One has a 53 megahertz increase from its predecessor? Yeah, well, here's where I'm going to ruin the fun. The Xbox One has got DD3 memory and can actually read and write up to 70 gigabytes per second with the graphics card. However, compared to the PS4 with its GDDR5 memory, it can actually read and write up to 170 gigabytes per second. Which basically means, if you don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, it basically means that the PS4 is most likely going to get you better FPS and better graphics. So if you find with your Xbox 360 or PS3 that you find frame drops, you will no longer have them, especially with the PS4. So moving on from graphics, I'll now talk about controllers and how they will impact your gameplay experience. So let's start off with the basics. With PS4 and the Xbox One, the controllers will have the normal A, B, X, Y, or for the PS4, X, circle, triangle and square. And they will still include the normal D-pad with the analog sticks. And now they've actually said on the Xbox One's controller that the triggers will have magnetic sensors for better response. The analog sticks though have undergone a change of some sort. The change will mean that the sticks are going to be much smaller, but they're going to be much better to handle, especially when playing FPS games or games that require you to have precision with the sticks. Moving on to the PS4 controller. The PS4's controller will be bigger compared to its predecessor's controller. Not only that, but the controller will have better grip due to its textured outer ridge. However, with no doubt, one of the biggest changes and one of the best things about this controller is the inbuilt screen on the controller itself. This screen is actually meant to be kind of change in the way of gameplay. It is meant to show like health bar and all that kind of stuff for certain games when you're playing with the PS4. One of the smaller but more handier touches is the share button incorporated onto the controller. This button will enable you to record about 15 minutes of your gameplay to share with your friends later on. Moving on from controllers, I'll now be talking about PlayStation and Xbox One's kind of feature for voice control and motion control and stuff like that. So let's start off with the Xbox One. The Xbox One will have something which we call the Kinect 2. And for all you geniuses out there, the Kinect 2 is a second generation of the Kinect, which is highly and hugely improved from the Kinect 1. So for starters, they basically increased the camera to a 1080p camera with a 1:1 ratio, which means the camera will have no lag in processing this data. But the best change is it can read 2 gigabytes per second of data, or well, process it, which means it can accurately read the room. So that means that the Kinect will no longer ask you to put your foot through the fucking wall. Thank you, Microsoft, for changing this shit. So moving on to the PlayStation 4's way of communicating that sort of way, there will be a PlayStation camera, replacing the PlayStation Move. Before you get too excited thinking there'll be no more kind of PlayStation Move controller thing, there actually will be. It is embedded inside the actual controller that you hold. So essentially it is the same thing. However, there's one feature that Sony has not confirmed yet, but that is maybe we could have some voice control features on the PlayStation 4. Now moving on from the controllers, I'll be moving on to the subscription service and online gameplay. So let's start off with Xbox and their Xbox Live Gold. So this should be like dependable on prices between annually costing anything, but the annual price for the Xbox Live Gold will be about $60, but anything, you know, under annual cost will be different. But there will be a new added bonus which is called the Games with Gold program. This basically means users can download 2 selected titles a month for free. But there are other gold perks, including access to Skype, game, DVR, NFL on Xbox, and One Guide, the one's customized channel guide. In addition, the subscription offers Smart Match. Smart Match is supposed to be this kind of new matchmaking system from Microsoft that claims to be faster and smarter. But PlayStation have a way of combating this with PlayStation Network Plus, which is about $50 annually for members. The Instant Collection gives members instant access to 18 free games. 12 are on PlayStation 3 and 6 are on the Vita. And Sony adds new games each and every month, so the longer you are with them, the more games you will have to play. And if you are with their gold membership, then you will get about 75% off with discounts and stuff like that. And one of the other good things about this is that one membership covers the PlayStation 3, the PlayStation 4 and the PS Vita. So if you're looking for a console that has great membership, then the Xbox One might be your choice for a console. Now moving on to the second screen stuff, which basically means that, like, you know, all these new consoles will have like a secondary screen and whatever you can do. So now I'm going to have a look at them. Microsoft has said that you can use Smart Glass, which is for Android, iOS and Windows phones. It will basically mean that you can have dashboard kind of stats and all that kind of stuff about games, achievements, in-game purchases, and you can access your game DVR clips. However, PlayStation are coming back hard on this one. They are going to introduce an app for Android and iOS, turning your phone into a virtual controller. Not only will your phones become a controller, but you will also be able to basically download games to your console for play at a later date. Always handy when you're on the go and you want to play a game when you get home. But due to the fact that the Vitas did not exactly get the kind of light of day they were seeing, they will now, due to the fact that now you can have remote play with your Vita. If you are looking for a console that has great accessibility and compatibility with secondary screens, the PS4 might be your choice. And now going on to the launch titles when the consoles come out. Unfortunately for PlayStation, Microsoft look like they have the edge in this part, because it looks like they have the most anticipated games coming out on their console at the moment. If you're looking for a console that has loads of great and highly anticipated launch titles, the Xbox One might be your console. Now, if you have a tight budget, you might want to listen up, because I'm going to start comparing the prices of these two consoles when they come out. So without any, you know, game bundles or anything, the Xbox One console Day 1 edition will, you know, be about $500 without any games or anything else attached to it. And now for the PS4's turn. The PS4 console without any game bundles or anything like that will be about $400. Considering the graphics, you know, the launch titles, you know, the design and everything else that comes with it, the secondary screens and all that kind of stuff, I'm going to say that if you are on a budget and a really tight budget, the PlayStation 4 is definitely worth the money due to the fact it has so many great titles coming out, maybe not as many as the Xbox One, but it's still got quite a lot of great titles coming out. The membership for online gameplay is brilliant, especially if you have more Sony products like that. So if you're not on budget and you know you don't really have that many Sony products, you know, you could try and go for the Xbox One. Hopefully they will, you know, continue up their great service and they won't bring any more bullshit out like they did when the Xbox One was first revealed. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and hopefully it has gave you some information and help you to make a good and firm decision. If you have enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a like, that can really help me out. Please make sure you share it if anybody you know needs this kind of information. If you guys can also check out my channel for maybe just a couple minutes, I'll really appreciate it. And if you did actually like my channel and you do want to see more of my content, then please subscribe, that can really help me out and I really appreciate it a lot. Hope you guys have enjoyed this video and enjoy the rest of your day.